What is going on, pro wrestling fans? My name is Jose Ramos Jr., and welcome to another post-show reaction, this time for Friday Night SmackDown. Now, obviously, we are fresh off the heels of a really eventful ladder match between three of the best tag teams that SmackDown has to offer, one being DIY, the other being the Street Profits, and of course, the tag team champions, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. It was the first ladder match on SmackDown in the last 5 years, and I thought it delivered in many aspects, more than one for sure. But I will say, I don't know if it was just me, and I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. But was it me, or was there like an abundance of commercial breaks during that matchup? There were times where I was really getting invested in the action, and then we went to a commercial break, and it kind of took away the momentum for me. It was really disruptive, and I understand, of course, the business aspect of it, and you want to be able to draw in revenue and sponsors, and of course, advertising. But there were just times I thought it was a little took me out of the action, I will say. Again, overall, I thought it was a fun matchup. Anytime there is a multi-man ladder match, count me in. I'm all about it. But I will say, I don't know if this is the common sentiment amongst wrestling fans, but I'm kind of getting over Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa as the tag team champions. I feel like the reasoning behind them being the tag champions right now is just to get the group over as a dominant faction on Friday Night SmackDown, much like how Finn Balor and JD McDonough are the tag champions on Monday Night Raw. And to just do a quick little spiel on the tag team division, you look at Raw's set of tag titles, and they've been champions for, I believe, now over 100 days and only have one title defense in that reign. I look at Friday Night SmackDown, and you do have quality teams in DIY and the Street Profits, yet we constantly have the episodes of SmackDown ending with the Bloodline on top. I get it. They're heels. We're not supposed to like them. They're supposed to be a dominant force in order to seem like a credible threat to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at tomorrow night's Bad Blood event. But I don't know. It leaves me wanting a little bit more. Certainly from an action standpoint, I feel like in recent months, really since WrestleMania 40, the tag team division hasn't been the same. You look at SmackDown's set of tag titles, it was A-Town Down Under, then DIY, both with forgettable reigns. We have the Bloodline as the tag champions, and that for me is already getting kind of stale. Raw, right? The set of champions were Miz and R-Truth, and then it became the Judgment Day. Both title reigns that I think will just eventually just become forgotten. So I don't know. That's just my little nitpick, and I know there are some people who like to claim that certain members on the internet are more fans of WWE or more fans of AEW, but I try to hold each accountable. And that's one little complaint I have in regards to the tag team division. The overall match, though, it was great. Great spots. There was a great frog splash spot by Montez Ford through a table on the outside. Obviously, the ending where we had both members of DIY and Street Profits go through two separate ladders, opening the door for Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa to successfully defend their tag team titles. But that wasn't the only eventful thing that happened on Friday Night SmackDown. It opened with the return of AJ Styles. AJ Styles, who had been absent from WWE since losing the I Quit match to Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, seemingly returns as a babyface. And it was in Nashville, Tennessee, which I thought was a great touch there because of the history for AJ Styles. Obviously, if you're a big pro wrestling fan, a big fan of AJ Styles, you know that he had a lengthy stint in total nonstop action, which was really based in Tennessee. So he has quite the history there. Coming again, seemingly as a babyface, he has that interaction with Carmelo Hayes, and the two have a matchup after LA Knight insist that, hey, Mello, you should fight AJ, because if you win the match, I'll talk to Nick Aldis and we'll get this US title match going. Of course, the story in the matchup was the ankle of AJ Styles. He has apparently suffered a sprained ankle in the matchup, prohibiting him from continuing the matchup. In fact, they awarded the matchup to Carmelo Hayes based on a referee stoppage because AJ Styles could not continue. I think it's obvious it's a work. I know there was some initial worry that maybe he did suffer an injury, but it seems the story they're going with here is because of the lack of ring time, because of the time that he was away. AJ Styles might be a little bit rusty, suffers a small injury. It shouldn't be anything crazy. But moving on, Melo Hayes thinking he should have a title match against LA Knight, but that's not the case. Nick Aldis thinks he still have to earn it. You won that matchup based on a technicality. We can't have that. Maybe this opens the door for match 7 between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. I know I certainly wouldn't be opposed to that. I know many members of the audience would not be opposed to that. Ultimately, I do think it will result in Carmelo Hayes getting that matchup against LA Knight for the United States Championship. And speaking of championships, we did have a matchup between Tiffany Stratton and Naomi, which was announced last week. But the real story here, we know that Naomi would win the matchup, but the real story here is between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, the reigning Queen of the Ring, the reigning women's champion. There's a little bit of dissension there. They're teasing a little bit of a turn by Tiffany Stratton. We know that the matchup at Bad Blood will be Bayley versus Nia Jax for that women's championship, and Bayley using her experience, that veteran experience, to try to get under the skin of Nia Jax by insinuating that, hey, I know I can beat you, but the only other person that could is Tiffany Stratton. Because she said, not because that she's good, but because of that briefcase that is in her possession. And then Tiffany Stratton goes off saying, you don't think I can beat her? You don't think I'm good enough? I can beat her without the briefcase. And therein lies the dilemma. You now introduce already that sense of doubt that Nia Jax might have in regards to her friend, her tag team partner, Tiffany Stratton. And Stratton, knowing that, hey, I have the power. I have the opportunity to win the women's championship whenever I see fit. Will they tease it at Bad Blood? I don't think so. They teased it at SummerSlam. Obviously, that was a way for Nia Jax to get the distraction to win the matchup. They teased it on this episode of Friday Night SmackDown. I don't think they'll do it at Bad Blood. I would like to see Nia Jax have a longer title reign, maybe at least January, December, around that time. And I certainly would like to see Tiffany Stratton hold on to that briefcase for a while, certainly get some mileage out of it since she has that custom-made briefcase as well. But I want to stick with the women's division. We talk about Michin, Mia Yim, and Chelsea Green had a fun dumpster match. I thought it was entertaining. Again, I don't remember the last time we had a dumpster match in the WWE. The first one that comes to mind, obviously, is the original at WrestleMania 14. They did allude to other matches in the WWE's history, but Chelsea Green continues to steal the show anytime she's a part of it. Not only is she a great wrestler, but she's just a great character worker. And there was a moment after the matchup that she was walking the halls, drenched in all this garbage. And you had interactions with, Angel and Humberto. You had A-Town Down Under, Nick Aldis. I thought it was great. It was something simple, but it adds character development, and it's just good old fun. But we won't talk about good old fun. The match itself. We had great spots with the dumpster itself, a table spot, a garbage can, trash cans, kendo sticks, even an appearance by Piper Niven. And what I loved about Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, both wearing unique gear that resembled that of, those who happen to work with garbage. I mean, like, it looked like Piper Niven had like a full-on like hazmat suit with gloves, even had a cowboy hat because they're in Nashville, Tennessee. And then Chelsea Green, who typically comes out with like a gear where it's almost like a train behind her, like an elongated jacket. It was basically in the form of a trash bag, and I little details like that prove that, like, hey, we're investing in this story, we're investing in these characters, are always welcomed. And Mia Yim getting a little bit of a push lately. We had her have a matchup against Nia Jax. She's having matches against Piper Niven and Chelsea Green more regularly. I think she might be in line for a title opportunity. Obviously, we know that Bayley will be having this matchup at Bad Blood for the title, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're shaping up to see Mia Yim get another crack at Nia Jax, maybe on a premium live event. I'm all for it. I love the fact that they're pushing new talent and they're giving opportunities to others who are really working their butts off and earning it. Mia Yim, in this last year, has certainly improved and made a name for herself on this division by carving out her own role, and I think that's important. When you get lost in the shuffle, it's tough to be presented on TV consistently, but she's really carved out her own role on SmackDown. And talking about carving out a role. Look at the that little vignette that had aired after the first matchup between AJ Styles and Carmelo Hayes. Rumors and speculations on who it might be, but I'll talk about the hints. We saw a lot of cars, a lot of traffic, a city that happened to resemble Detroit, and the fact that I saw a car, I'm pretty sure it was blink and you miss it, but it looked like it was a Ford. And if anybody knows about Ford and the history of motor vehicles, you know that Detroit, its nickname is the Motor City. There was a moment there where there were two shadows that appeared to be two individuals. Now, if that's not the Motor City Machine Guns, I don't know who it might be. But how exciting is that? There was rumors and speculation that they would be joining NXT, but it looks like they're going to be joining SmackDown. And we talk about the tag team division real quick. Love DIY. Love the Street Profits. You add the Motor City Machine Guns to that group, you got to move the tag titles off of the Guerrillas of Destiny. The Bloodline is the Bloodline storyline. That will always be a marquee event, always be a top storyline. So the tag titles don't have to be associated with it. Give it to another tag team and start building upon the tag team division. And if the Motor City Machine Guns are arriving on SmackDown, I look forward to seeing them acquire those tag titles sooner rather than later. But go ahead and comment down below, what are your thoughts on this episode of Friday Night SmackDown? Are you excited for the Motor City Machine Guns as much as I am? And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe to keep up to date with all the pro wrestling content that is produced on this channel. Of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you for stopping by and watching Friday Night SmackDown with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.